Hey guys, how you doing? Steve Lab here. On this video here, I'm going to talk about water pipe, copper versus PEX, copper versus PEX on heating, and also want to talk about black pipe versus track pipe and what I think about it. A lot of people ask me my opinion on it. I think that, there is a place for everything in the industry. As far as me, for what I do, residential service and repair work, um, I'm kind of old school. I like the old copper L. Now there's copper L, there's copper M, and copper K. There's three different grades of copper. Copper M is for heating. It's red label and it's the thinnest. Copper L is basically for water pipe. It's the blue letters, and it's middle. It's not the thickest, but it's basically designed for water. And there's copper K, which is a green label, which is underground, and that's the thickest. That's what a lot of times, if you're gonna like an underground copper service, it'll be copper K. That's the thickest, but you can't get that in hard drawn tubing, as far as I know. So L, which is the blue letter, which is water pipe, and then copper M, which is the red letter, red, which they sell at Home Depot, and people put that shit in for water pipe, and that shit won't last. It's half the thickness of copper L. So if you're gonna do any kind of copper work, you want to use the blue letters, which is the L for water. Yeah, and there's also copper. They call it DWV. It's like a yellow letters on it. It's for drains and vents on like 1.5 2 inch. It's DWV, and that shit's really thin. I wouldn't use that DWV stuff, but you can buy it. That shit will rot out in no time. It's DWV. I wouldn't use that yellow leaded stuff. It's really thin. If you're gonna use anything for drains, use M. If you're gonna be using it for drains, in my state, all drains have to be, in a commercial building, have to be either copper or cast iron in a commercial building. So you'll see a lot of that DWV used in commercial application. In houses, we could use PVC, but it depends on the laws of your state. So I just figured I'd mention that about the DWV copper. PEX is good if you're doing certain things. And there's also CPVC that you could use. It's more of a rigid type of PVC for water lines. It makes a nice job, CPVC. But PEX is good, but you do a whole house in PEX off a manifold. This shit's like spaghetti. And you got to clip the hell out of it. And especially on the hot water lines, this stuff's all over the place. I think PEX is good. Like if I'm gonna run an outside faucet or something down the other end of the house or something, I'll run a PEX line over there. Quick, it's fast. But there's nothing like copper. I don't care what anybody says. There's nothing like running a nice copper job with a nice, all nice elbows and sweat the thing properly. And the thing's there for years and years and years. I got guys that comment on my stuff. Oh, how come you don't use PEX or CPVC? It's like, well, if there's copper there and I got to cut a little piece out and add it, I'm going to go back with copper. That's what I think about it. I do use PEX in certain instances, but not all the time. I got it in the truck, and I can get CPVC. If I was going to do, redo a new house, I would probably go with CPVC instead of copper. It's a little bit cheaper. It makes a decent job. You just have to hang it, every 3-4 feet, because the CPVC is not as rigid as the copper. But it makes a decent job as long as you got the proper fittings. I'm set up with all copper fittings in my truck, so I don't have a problem using copper. What do I give a shit? The people are going to pay me anyway to put it in. Copper might be a little bit more per foot. But when you start buying all these other fittings and these clamps and these, for PEX, you buy all these connectors and everything, and it all adds up, PEX will save you time, as far as if you're going to be doing a whole job with PEX. It'll definitely save you time. Now, as far as the black pipe goes and the track pipe, I like the old-fashioned thread, black pipe. That's what I like to use. I don't have a problem with bringing my threading machine and threading it. The track pipe has to be grounded for, lightning strikes, and it has its place also. If you're going to run a unit up in the attic and it's a remodel job, well, you might want to use a track pipe and running right up alongside the chimney with the flex pipe. You'll be done in no time. Depends, There's nothing like black pipe screwing it together with gas when it comes to gas pipe. That's my opinion on it. I guess maybe I'm kind of like old school, But hopefully that answered a couple of your questions. I do use PEX. I use copper. I use black pipe with gas, and I use the track pipe. Depends on the situation. Nothing's carved in stone, I always say. I'll do whatever suits the job. You have to be moldable and be willing to change with the times. You see on some of my jobs, I use PEX. They make heating PEX, and they make PEX for water pipe. Now the heating PEX has an oxygen barrier in it, so it's different than PEX for water pipe. You can't use PEX for water pipe on heating. It's different. The heating PEX is more money, just so you guys know. You can't mix it. And I do use PEX on heating at times, but like I said, that especially on the heating stuff, that shit will expand like crazy. You gotta have room for it to expand and contract, because it's gonna definitely expand. Shit's gonna be like spaghetti, and you gotta hang it. You gotta put a lot of hangers on it, just so you guys are aware of it. Now copper, you put copper in, it's rigid. It stays there, it looks nice, and it's like a trophy there. That PEX is gonna be all over the place. So you gotta take that into consideration when you're doing a job. What's the job gonna look like? You gotta think about it, expanding and contraction and all that stuff. Is it gonna be making noise? You clip that heat PEX along that pipe, along that joist. When it heats up and expands, it's gonna make noise. You'll hear it. Copper pipe won't do that. Yeah, when it comes to heating, okay, I use type M copper, which is the red label for heating. Because it's stagnant water on hydronic heating I'm talking about. Say I'm going to be doing a replacement of a boiler or something, and there's black pipe there. I'll cut the black pipe out, pull the nipple out of what's there. Then I'll put a male adapter into the fitting, or a female adapter onto a pipe, and I'll run copper all the way down to the boiler. It's faster than threading. On a boiler replacement, I'll always use copper. And I got no issue with it, and I solder it together, and it's a done deal. But that's what I use on hydronic heating. If I'm going to do a replacement, I'll use copper M. I won't use copper L because you don't need it. You don't need the L. If it was water pipe, I'd use L. So that's where the separation comes in. Would I use PEX on a boiler replacement? No. You could thread it all together, and then you got to use, nipples and unions and whatnot. On a boiler replacement, I use straight copper M. I just figured I'd throw that in there. But anyway, I just wanted to do a little vlog, and just a little something to break it up. I get asked these different questions, and I like to do these little vlogs, and hopefully, bring it all to the table and discuss it, and we could talk about it, and different guys can leave, comments on what they think about it. But I think it's good to be able to use everything in your arsenal, and as you come across a job, you look at it, all right, this job I'll use copper, this job I'll use PEX. That's the way I look at different materials and different apparatuses when it comes to that stuff. But remember about what I said about the copper pipe. Use the copper L. Use the blue letter copper if you're going to use copper. And different guys ask me what I use for a torch. I use a LP turbo torch for soldering copper. Now, if I'm going to be doing brazing, I'll use an acetylene turbo torch. It gets a lot hotter. It's a big difference. Well, it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm just doing soft solder, I like to use the LP, the propane turbo torch. Now, for soft solder, you also can use the B tank with the pressure light torch. Now, my father used to use that, and you can get a real small flame on the Press-A-Lite torch with the acetylene for soft solder. But that flipping B tank is heavy. They also make an MC tank, which is nice. It's small, tiny. That might be another option you guys would have. I like the Press-A-Lite torch, but I've been using the turbo torch my whole career, so I ain't got no problem with that. I'm not too concerned about, you know, if I'm in an area where I'm concerned about burning wood or something, I'll put a little piece of metal there or something. I'm not too concerned about it. I've been soldering for over 30 years. That don't scare me. Anyway, guys, that's just a quick little vlog. I just wanted to talk about a couple of things with that, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day.